Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and some more Battlefield 5 gameplay, because I had the opportunity to head over to DICE office last week to play the new Battlefield 5 War Stories, which is the single player component of Battlefield 5, similarly to what they had in Battlefield 1. And just a quick note, I did also record kind of like a vlog over the entire day, because I did a couple of things that day, but that will be a separate video probably for off the Battlefront that you can look out for later. But as for the war stories of Battlefield 5, I should probably know I am not the most single player interested person, I guess you could say. I sometimes skip the single player in the games I do buy, and I don't play any single player games at all almost. So whenever I do go into a game like this and play the single player, I don't have too high expectations, to be honest, because I personally don't play a lot of single player games. But this was a very nice surprise to me, at least one mission in particular that I will get to in a second and that I really enjoy a lot. But just to clarify here, what the war stories contain are 3 war stories plus a prologue. And the prologue I cannot show any gameplay from, but basically, it was kind of like an introduction to the war stories, where you get to jump in between different locations and characters and do everything from flying to tanks and so on. So it was a really cool introduction to the entire war and getting to see different parts of the world, different types of warfare and so on. It's a pretty short one, but gives you a great introduction. And then we have 3 war stories available at launch, which is Nordlys, Terrier, and sorry if I completely butcher that name, and Under No Flag. And I got to play the entire Nordlys war story, but only the first part of the other 2 I mentioned. And then we have the last Tiger, which is coming up in December as an extra war story. So I wanted to give you a very quick overview of what these 3 war stories that I did actually play contained. I can show you some gameplay from all 3 of them, but I'm not going to show any spoilers. I'm not going to show the ending of Nordlys, for instance, but I'm just going to show you some of the first and middle parts while I talk about it. So Nordlys is simply a war story where you get to follow a Norwegian resistance fighter called Solveig, who gets and her mother gets captured by the Nazis, and you have to try and rescue her. And although that's the kind of synopsis of the actual mission, it's a lot bigger than that. It's not so much about just saving your family here, but it reaches some very interesting points, which is why I thought it was so good, because it kind of links into the entire war and to some really serious stuff here that I didn't expect. That's one of the reasons to why I really enjoyed it. I'll get back to this in a second when I talk a bit more in depth about Nordlys. And then the second one, Terrier, is oh man, I really can't pronounce that. It's a French name, but you know what it is, okay? Basically, you are playing as a colonial infantry in the French army to try and push back some of the Nazis at a spot where the rest of the army simply failed. And then lastly, we have Under No Flag, when you play as the SBS, the British Special Boat Section, that are kind of like a, I guess, a group of special forces troopers that do not follow orders very well. They're not afraid to do what's necessary. So for instance, the character you follow here is someone who was in the prison, but who then got the opportunity to redeem himself by joining the SBS. In terms of the gameplay style between all 3 of them, it's very different, and I want to focus on Nordlys specifically, because that's the one I played the whole one, and that's the one I by far enjoyed the most. But just to give you an idea, Under No Flag was a little bit stealthy, where it's some parts you're stealthing, and then some parts you're kind of running and gunning, and you're trying to sabotage some aircraft at a Luftwaffe airbase. And the Terrier is a properly full-on combat with very hectic gameplay, where you just try to push in trench-to-trench warfare. So there's no sneaking here, just try to survive, try to kill as many enemies as you can, and push on and push on. But Nordlys, and that's why I want to talk about Nordlys, is a very sneaky mission, and this is a mission where you have a lot of options. So if you want to play really sneaky and dodge most people, take out people from the back with melee attacks, you can do all of that, and you will see me do that in the gameplay. But if you want to, you can also run straight up and just shoot everyone down. Obviously that's going to be a little bit harder probably, but it still works. And there was a lot of reasons to why I like this mission so much, and it might be a lot of just me being a Swede, but some of the things that made me like it was, first of all, the environment. It looks absolutely phenomenal in the Frostbite engine with the Norwegian environments, the snow, and during the night we have the northern lights. And then the fact that all of these missions, they talk the native language, so we can actually hear some Norwegian, which as a Swede is relatable obviously, and I can understand most of it. They do have subtitles, so don't worry about that. And then that the fact that the actual story aspect is really interesting. Sure, you're gonna try to rescue your mother and so on, and that part is, you know, something we've seen a lot of times. It's not something special, but the end goal that I don't want to spoil too much, but simply put, they're doing something there in Norway that could affect the outcome of the entire war. You will understand when you play. That I thought was really interesting, and that gave the entire mission a larger picture. That's what caught me interesting, because it's something about, you know, physics and chemistry, I guess we could say. It's something that I am interested in. So that added another level to the story, instead of just, oh, rescue your mother, but it's actually a bigger picture. And then the fact that you can actually choose how to play. I played sneaky at the start, I snuck around trees, I used the throwing knives to take out people very silently, but at the end I am just too impatient of a person, so I just went run and gun for the second half of the mission, although I could have been a bit more stealthy. So that's obviously up to you and how you want to play. I also want to note that all the gameplay you're seeing here is on the medium difficulty. There are 4 difficulties, and this was the second easiest one, because I didn't want to have to restart over and over and over all the time. And on top of that, I did actually die quite a few times on medium even, so sure, might be because I'm not the best player of Battlefield, but medium was a good enough challenge for me, and I felt like the flow was still really good, even though I died a couple of times. But yeah, I'm also really excited for the last Tiger coming in December, because I felt like just hearing the synopsis for that one, following a Nazi Tiger tank crew sounded pretty cool in my opinion, so I'm sure that one's gonna be good. But as for the 4 or 3 war stories that we played here, I definitely thought Nordlys was the best one by far, but I only played part of the other 2, so keep that in mind. Those might become even more interesting the longer you play them, but for me they kind of just felt like, you know, run and gun in different environments and just try to kill as much people as possible, versus Nordlys added something a bit different to it, which is why I liked it. Everything from the environment to the gameplay was fantastic in that specific war story. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up my thoughts on the Battlefield 5 war stories and the parts I've played so far. But yeah, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to answer as many of them as possible. And thank you yet again to DICE and EA for allowing me to play and record some of this gameplay last week. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the force be with you.